This episode, tips for reducing mosquitoes around your home. Well, guys, summer's in full swing, and the mosquitoes at my house anyway are just everywhere. We thought we'd give you some simple tips that will help you reduce mosquitoes in and around your home. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation in your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Tips for Reducing Mosquitoes Around Your Home. And here to help me explain is my ever faithful and mosquito magnet buddy, Mr. Johnny. Johnny, what has been going on with you this week?
What's been going on with me? You know, I've been working on my car, actually.
We have not touched on car stuff.
No, we
maybe
haven't.
We should.
We haven't. We're going to get, I think we should, we owe it to the folks out there to start talking about kind of stuff like that. Anyways, yeah, I've just been doing some things with the car, and with the price of cars and the interest rates right now and the jam that we're all in, it's like, man, you got to keep your stuff running. So
100%, 100%.
So
and modern technology allows us to do that. They run longer than ever with less problems in general. So
in general, but a lot to talk about there. But anyways. Yeah.
All right. Well,
so mosquitoes, Larry. I've been attacked. I've been attacked by plenty of them.
Well, that's what happens when you live in the woods, John. But all right, before we get started, please, if you would, please like and subscribe to our things, both on the podcast players and or on YouTube. We are at YouTube as well. If you'd like to see our faces, and we do put some pictures up every once in a while. We probably won't on this one because these are pretty self-explanatory. But anyway, with that, it appreciated. It helps people find our content, and for people looking for our content, things like that. All right. Johnny, mosquitoes, tell me about you. Your house is very much in the woods, and I'm sure you have a bit of an issue. Plus, you have a big retention pond near your house.
Yeah, but it's pretty far away. The issue here is that it's, right around all the woods.
Yeah.
And they hang around every little puddle that you can't ever get rid of. So,
exactly.
And I can't get up on my gutters to clean them out either.
Oh, yeah.
So water,
So this is actually probably the first and most important tip, right? Would you agree with that? Is reduce standing water.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to John's point, this is something that if you live in a highly wooded area, it's tough to get rid of all that standing water because there's a lot of it. Mosquitoes, we're not going to get into a big entomology discussion about mosquitoes, but mosquitoes breed in water, and it's amazing how little water they actually need to breed in. Like they can do it in a puddle in a leaf. Yeah. And so one of the things is, and a bunch of our tips here are aimed at reducing standing water. So standing water, and John mentioned it, gutters, right? So in your gutters, you can get standing water. And folks, it does not have to be much. And if you've ever looked in some of your puddles, you'll see those little squibbly things. They're squiggies. They look like little bugs. Those are mosquito larvae. That's exactly what they are. Couple of different ways to dry them out is the first thing, is just get it dried out. There's also some you can change the pH in the water. You can do that with vinegar. You can do that with a little bit of bleach. You can do that. There's other products out there. If you go to farm stores, they've got these things you can throw in water that are like rings, and I forget what they do exactly, but they change the pH of the water basically, and it'll kill the larva.
Yeah, it's a lot of horse people do that in their barns.
Yes.
Yep.
I think it kills flies too.
Yeah,
flies too. I think I was going to say it kills flies. But so there's a whole series of our tips. One is eliminate standing water. So like bird baths and stuff, if you have a bird bath, clean it out regularly. Just spray it out with no, seriously. I mean, really like
believe me. Those things can get pretty ugly after a while.
It gets kind of nasty, right?
Yeah.
So clean those out on a regular basis. Puddles and stuff. Try to squeegee the puddles off and get the water away. Keep your yard. Keep the debris cut down. Cut down. They stay in the shade. Also, that's one of the other things that I learned in doing the research for this project. That's part of the reason why they're in woods. They don't like the excessive heat. So if you keep things kind of cut back and cleaned up, you're ahead of the game. You really are ahead of the game.
And I don't care where you live; those things are everywhere. I mean,
Dude,
Alaska to the tropics. They're everywhere.
they're actually worse in colder
Yeah,
climates, like places like Alaska,
yeah, I
because
know. They're huge.
they're huge, and when they're out in force.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, I got caught
ugh.
up. I got caught up in a big mosquito thing out in the mountains in Tahoe one time when we were on a Jeep trip,
Oh, nice.
and our Jeep broke down. And I'll tell you what, I we were all by ourselves, and thank God my buddy had a bunch of cutters with him, and we lathered that stuff on because as soon as we were working on that thing, I
They
mean,
come out.
I've never seen the amount of mosquitoes that I saw that day.
Yeah.
I mean, if he
Yep.
didn't have that, I mean, I don't know, I'd have been sucked dry.
Yeah. A million years ago when I was guiding in Canada, I was a canoeing guide in Canada when I was very, very young. A long, long time ago. But they really, boy, they would get us, and I mean get
Oh
us
yeah,
bad. Now, I will tell you this, folks, and you might not believe me when I tell you this, but if you get bitten enough, you become almost immune to them. And I experienced that when I was 17, 16, 17, and 18. And to this day, I do not feel mosquitoes when they bite me. What bothers me is when I hear them buzzing around my
yeah,
ears.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what,
it drives
because it's
dogs
that.
nuts too.
Oh, it's that high pitched whine. And
Yeah.
Johnny, you live in the woods. Have you ever? I remember this goes back to the canoe guiding days, but I remember sitting in the tent sleeping and hearing.
Oh yeah.
Can
Oh
you
yeah.
hear that
Oh yeah.
at your house?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, all the
yeah,
time. I just this morning taking the dog
yeah,
out. I
yeah. So
I hate that.
so yeah.
Speaking of going canoeing, let's I'll go off on a little tangent here. You ever get horsefly? We used to go canoeing all the time in southern Illinois, and it's like you get the horseflies starting to follow you around,
Combination of horseflies and deer flies as well.
and they start
And when they
and you got
bite,
yeah,
ouch! It's an
you
ouch.
got to smack them with the paddle. I mean, they
You
just
can't
hang around.
horsefly. You
You're out in
can.
the middle
Yeah.
of the lake, and they're hanging
Yep.
around you. It's like, what?
Yeah. And then the deer flies, the little ones that are
Yeah.
the size of the horse flies, but they bite and they
Oh
bite
yeah.
hard and they bite a lot. Those are the ones that I couldn't stand when I was doing that. So anyway, we're not doing it. We're not
No.
doing tips on how to get rid of those because it's almost impossible. And if you ever get bitten by a horsefly, oh brother, have you ever
Yeah.
been
Those
bitten by a
things are.
horsefly? Oh,
Oh.
you really know it. That's as bad as it's worse than a bee sting. Way
Yeah.
worse. I mean,
Oh
but
yeah.
fortunately they're slow and you can kill them when they land on you. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, no, I
And
have had that.
anyways,
Anyway,
we
anyway,
digress.
so yes, sort of. It's on the same thing. It's on the same thing. So that's the biggest thing is get rid of the standing water. Get rid of puddles. Keep your bushes trimmed down. Keep them trimmed. I mean, you can't do it. You'll also find your hornets, as John has alluded to on other shows where he was trimming his
Yeah.
bushes.
Yeah.
Got the hornets. Just be careful with that. Watch out too. This time of year, watch out for yellow jackets in the ground as well for the same thing. When you're in under things, just be aware that they're there. So now some of the things as far as trying to repel. Well, I guess let's talk about just wearing clothing. So wear light colored clothing. This was found this in my research that mosquitoes are attracted to dark colored clothing. I think it has to do with how much heat it generates, because mosquitoes look for you. They look for your infrared signature. That's one of the ways they find you. They also find you chemically, but they look for that. If you walk, they'll trail behind you in the heat signature. So there's that. Wear light colored clothing. If you're sitting around like on your deck and stuff, first off, screen your porches and your windows in, at your house. If you're on a deck, and John, we found this to be very effective. We actually up under our deck on our porch, we actually put bug screen up underneath our deck. I thought it wasn't going to do anything. I was incorrect. I will stand. My wife was correct on this one. I put that bug screening up there. Not only the mosquitoes, but it kept the spiders out. It keeps
Yeah.
pretty much everything up, but it stopped the mess of the spiders was my biggest takeaway on that. So put screening up underneath your decks too, if you want to. Now, I will say this too, if your deck is open and not covered, careful when doing that because it also catches leaves and debris like pine straw and things. If you have that here in the South, it's very common.
Yeah.
That causes wood rot because it holds the moisture in, but ours is elevated with a roof over it. So we don't get any debris catching in the screening. Because I think on one of our very early shows, I took up our decking and there was mosquito screening, and it
Yeah. I
just
remember
ripped
that.
it.
I was over there
Yeah,
when you did that.
yeah. Oh, what a mess! Oh my
That was a
God.
total disaster.
Yeah,
Anyways.
that was anyway. But put screens up, run fans. just run fans when you're outside. If you're sitting in front of a fan, mosquitoes
Yeah,
are
they're gonna
very
get
light.
blown away.
They get blown away.
Yeah.
It also pushes your chemical signature and your heat signature away from you, so that keeps the mosquitoes away. Again, we're not trying to get into an entomology conversation, but anyway, it's just again some tips. Um, there's all use mosquito repellents, right, John? I mean, you talked about Cutter. Cutter is what? That's a brand,
Yeah.
but do you know
Yeah.
what's
It's
in it?
I can't remember what's in. I can't remember what's in it. No.
It's usually some form of DEET.
Yeah, that DEET.
DEET.
Yeah, that's right. That's
And
right. And they had that big thing about the DEET scare a while ago, right?
well,
Whatever.
unlike when we were kids, John, and we just sprayed ourselves with DDT.
Right. Right. Or rode our bikes behind the guy that had the fogger. That was always. I can't believe how much stuff I must have breathed in over the top.
Well, come on, I'll be nice. I was
Freaking
gonna say, John, you ever talk to you? You wonder why the
freaking
Alzheimer's is
crazy.
kicking
It's
in? Yeah, no,
nuts.
no, I know. Yeah. Anyway, but there are some natural versions of bug come in the form of they're called essential oils, and essential oils are like peppermint. Citronella has an essential oil. Cloves have an essential oil. What else? There's a bunch. Lavender has
Yeah.
essential oils, and all of these plants are actually
The mints.
naturally
Yeah.
repellent. Yeah, mints. Eucalyptus is another one. There's a whole bunch of them, but they all work, and to some form or another, they actually work well. And along with that, if you're in your gardening, if you plant things like citronella and marigolds and lavender and what's one of the other ones? You can mint works really well.
Yeah.
I did write it down. Citronella, lavender, marigold. Oh, and basil too. If you plant those things around your house, those will create natural barriers because they're very aromatic, and the aromatic is the smell, and they don't like those things. And then Johnny and I were talking earlier. I said marigolds are the one thing deer will not eat. One of the few things.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky right now. The deer are trimming my hedges and trimming everything I own,
Yeah.
including my tomato plants and my flowers.
Yeah, they'll eat anything. Those things.
But they're we'll do we're actually going to probably do a show on deer sometime in the future, just because. Although I think it's a wasted show because it's almost impossible to stop them. But
yeah,
but there are
it's a never-ending battle.
It's a never-ending battle. So all right, so we got those. Johnny, what do you have some things?
Yeah, a couple things that I know of. If you spend any time on the outdoors, or you're going to be out, like in the woods or whatever. And I've done this. If you wear a hat, I wear hats when I'm outside, and when the sun's blazing down. But if I'm next to the woods, I'll wash the hat with dog shampoo, and that keeps the bugs away.
Yep, it's that scent.
Yeah,
it's a scent that they don't like.
And I know a lot of you guys out there that are big time hikers and stuff have all kinds of tips and tricks on how to keep bugs away from you like that. Washing your pants and whatever, and with dog shampoo or whatever it is, keep the ticks away from you and all that. So
yeah, ticks, and then here we have chiggers as well.
Yeah.
All those things work really well.
Yeah.
Because folks, if you've never had a chigger, you don't want chiggers either. They're kind of like ticks, only they make an itchy bump that is
you guys,
awful.
you guys, they're everywhere, guys. No matter where you live, those things are there.
And definitely, I definitely agree with the hats. And the hat when if you're in the woods or you're out, even if you're outside, wear a hat, because it does help to keep ticks off. Ticks tend to drop, so they drop from above, and they're looking for that heat signature as well.
Yeah.
And this is, and so keeping that, and that's how they get in your hair, and then they crawl as well. So
yeah. So, sweet dreams, folks.
Oh, God.
Holy
Johnny, honest to God, middle of the night, not this year, but
I get it. No, I know that story. I've had that.
You feel them crawling, and you grab them. You're like, oh man, it's just like, oh. Anyway,
I know. Well, have you experienced the scorpion in the bed yet? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That one's a.
That's a freak out.
I pulled back the covers one time and there's a scorpion. I'm like, oh God.
when I
Anyways,
worked when I worked at the gun club, that we had tons of scorpions there, and for whatever reason, they loved getting in the clay target boxes.
yeah.
They'd be
Oh
in
yeah.
where we stored the clay targets, but you could hear them because in the cardboard they made this
Yeah, this
noise.
crunching around.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you'd hear them every single time.
Yeah,
And
we don't
I
have
just
the real dangerous ones here,
no,
folks, like you guys got out in Arizona and
no,
all that.
yeah, these are
But
just little
black
bee
ones,
sting ones.
yeah.
Yeah. There's black
Anyways,
and brown. There's two types. Anyway, whatever. Doesn't matter. That's a whole nother story. But you know what? Funny. It's funny though. We say that it's another story, but all these things that we're talking about actually will repel, like particularly the plants and the essential oils will repel all of those things as well. It'll repel scorpions. It repels ticks. Those plants, the marigolds and the basil and the lavender and stuff. The bugs just don't. The spiders. It actually works on spiders. As it doesn't work great, but it works. It keeps them away. It deters them to a degree. So it's just a little thing I've learned because I've used essential oils for trying to keep spiders off of various different things, like inside where I'm trying not to spray a lot of chemical,
yeah,
and it works. It does work. It's just you got to use a lot of it, and your house smells like a candy bar or a
yeah,
candy cane. Um,
yeah,
but it does work. It really does work. So it is what it is. Also, one other thing is natural predators, right? So look into how to get dragonflies to come into your yard, and there are some ways. I'm not going to get into it because it's a little more involved, but they
Well,
eat the larva.
you can get purple martin houses and stuff like that, and get those things in there. The bats,
Bats. Yep.
all that. Along with that comes some risk,
Uh,
you know. But
it's there's martins, there's bats, swallows in general will
yep,
eat all kinds of bugs. There's birds called flycatchers that they eat bugs, and they'll all eat mosquitoes. Frogs, toads, all these things will eat mosquitoes, and um, bring them on.
yeah, right,
Like
yeah.
let them
Bring them on, bring them on. I
let
mean,
them.
that's probably one of the ways that everybody used to do it. We used to have purple martin houses all over the place.
And
And
you go into farm country today, and there's still purple martin
they're all
houses out there.
they're all over the place, and
Yeah,
boy, it's
yeah.
incredible watching those
It's
things flying around catching mosquitoes.
Same thing with bats.
Yeah,
Bats. I forget. At one time I knew the numbers. The numbers were.
it's incredible.
It's astonishing how
Yeah,
many bugs in general that these birds eat to
yeah,
stay alive, more or less, and it's just fantastic. And then speaking of birds, and I just kind of want to slightly digress. If you plant some of these flowers, also, they're also a food source for the various different birds because they
yeah,
make the seeds and stuff. We plant a lot of zinnias, and we get a tremendous amount of bird life that comes into those pollinators, and they eat the seeds in the fall. But it's nature doing nature's thing, and in turn that keeps the bug population down. So it's kind of one of those, it literally is the circle of life thing. That stuff's evolved specifically to do these kinds of things, and it is what it is. There's mosquito traps also, John. I mean, I've seen them. I think they work okay. They're not great, but hey, this is a campaign. This isn't a
yeah.
single
No,
battle,
that's the statement right there. It is a campaign. It's not just one thing. And I'll tell you, some of those traps, the blue light,
Yep.
electrocution
Yep.
things.
Yep.
Those are always fun to watch at night.
Yeah.
But I mean,
There's
it is a campaign. It is, you got to do a bunch of things in conjunction with each other
with each other. Yep.
because listen, if somebody came up with the magic bullet on that, they would have, but nothing has happened here. So
We've been trying to get get rid of
yeah,
malaria for as long as human
right.
existence, right? And guess what? And malaria is carried by mosquitoes, and guess what? We haven't gotten rid of malaria. So there you go. I think that's everything that's on our tips, John.
Well,
Did I miss
and then the
anything?
last thing is professional help.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
If nothing else, and it makes you feel good, get some professional help out there to spray. Now, I'll tell you what I've used. If you go to the big box store and you buy like a hose end sprayer with insect repellent stuff that lasts for weeks, try that stuff. And I spray that onto the bushes around the deck and everything. And honestly, really haven't had a problem on the deck. When I get off the deck and I go into the woods, then I have a problem. And I haven't sprayed that, but it's quick, it's easy, and it seems to be very effective.
Yeah, and there are some if you're interested in doing it DIY, there are some foggers that are available.
And those
Um,
two.
Yeah, and they're a little bit pricey, but here's an interesting thing that I came upon that somebody had actually done. They had kind of pooled up with their neighbors, like 4 or 5 neighbors, and they bought one of these foggers. They're basically a blower with a chemical
Yeah.
injector into
Hmm.
it, is what it is. But they all pooled it together, and then everybody just kind of went round robin with the tool,
Yeah.
and they'd go out and they'd fog their yards, and then next weekend the other guy would fog his yard, and they would fog their yards on a regular basis, and it seemed to work pretty good.
Yeah.
But it was mostly to help defray the cost, because I can't remember what they cost, and
Well,
it
you
doesn't
can
really
get some
matter.
smaller ones that aren't bad at all, really.
Right, right.
But those things have been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And
This one
they
was
work. They work.
yeah, they work. They work.
You
It's
know,
just I
fog
kind
your
of try to
fog your
opt for the
bushes, man.
non-chemicals. Yeah, I try to opt for the non-chemical function as much as possible. Whatever, it's kind of one of those things. So, all right, Johnny, do you think the aliens have problems with mosquitoes, or do they think we're the mosquitoes?
Yeah, stomp you out, baby. They fogged Larry last time.
Thanks,
All right.
Johnny. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, love you.
It was
Long
a
time.
foggy experience for Larry.
I'm not gonna. I'm not
Larry.
even gonna comment on what happened during the fog. I can't
Yeah.
remember, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. With that, folks, if you would please like and subscribe to our channels. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, questions at handymanprosradioshow.com. If you have want topics, or you like these topics, or you want some kind of different topic, send us an email again, questions at handymanprosradioshow.com. We will do it. Also got Facebook out there at Handyman Pros, and got a webpage, handymanprosradioshow.com. All right. With that, Johnny, take us home.
All right, folks. Keep the mosquitoes away. We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.